Well, welcome back, MERK Nation, to the MERK Method, where we explore mental wellness, growth, and the human experience. I want to just thank everybody, as always, to coming and listening to the podcast episode today. If this is your first time, welcome to the podcast. If it is not, welcome back to the show. So we are going to talk a little bit about something that people don't even realize they're dealing with, and that's high functioning anxiety. I know a lot of people deal with anxiety on a day-to-day basis. I'm one of those people. And I wanted to talk a little bit about this particular anxiety. And if you're listening right now thinking that kind of sounds like me, but I've never really knew what to call it, you're probably not alone. So this anxiety doesn't stop you from showing up. It actually pushes you to show up harder. You get things done, you're responsible, people rely on you like always. And from the outside, you look like you've got it all together, right? You're very well put together. You're smiling all the time. No one could tell the difference. But really on the inside, your mind really never rests. Anybody feel that way? I'm sure there's a lot of hands raising right now. High functioning anxiety isn't an official diagnosis in the DSM handbook, but therapists use the term because it describes a very real pattern. It's when anxiety shows up as overthinking, people pleasing, and that constant productivity. You're not frozen by fear, you're actually fueled by it. And research shows that anxiety often lives in your body as much as your mind. That's why a lot of times you feel your shoulders are really tight, your jaw is clenched, your stomach is always on edge. You feel like you're not sure if you're hungry or you want to be sick, and you don't even notice anymore because it's become normal. If this kind of sounds like you probably wake up already tired. And I mean by that, like, not just your body, but your mind, your brain. Your thoughts are running through everything you need to do, everything you might forget, and a lot of times what could go wrong. I did that a lot when I was younger. I would always look for what is going to happen in a negative way. What if I do this? What's the bad outcome of it? And of course, when you start thinking like that, you're looking for it. You're wiring your brain to understand that you're looking for the worst case scenario, right? And when we're talking about that kind of stuff, you're not really dramatic about it. You're quiet with it. You don't cancel plans. You don't fall apart in front of people. You just carry it. You keep performing through life while your nervous system is stuck in that survival mode. And here's the part that nobody really talks about, that high functioning anxiety gets rewarded. People praise your work ethic. They call you strong. They call you dependable. They call you motivated. You're always doing stuff. You're always going, right? You're like the Energizer Bunny. But what they don't see is that a lot of that drive comes from fear. That fear of letting people down. Fear of being seen as weak. Fear that if you slow down, everything will fall apart. A lot of us learned early on that being useful was safer than being vulnerable. So we become good at holding it together, even when we're struggling a lot on the inside. I feel that way personally a lot, where I would rather do it myself and take the hit, whether it's a body hit or a mind hit, than allow myself to show that vulnerability and what I feel is weakness, even though it might not be looked at as weakness. To me, my brain has already been wired to think that way, that I have to be the one that takes care of it. That's why I don't take a lot of vacation time, because I'm worried about falling behind. I'm worried about looking like I can't take care of things. And that's not the right perspective. Well, there's actually research that shows that people with anxiety often have overactive stress responses, meaning your brain's alarm system. It fires faster and louder than it needs to. So your body is constantly getting messages like stay alert, be ready, stay in control. That's why you don't let other people take on things that maybe they can help you with because your brain is telling you to stay in control. But because of that, over time, you get extremely exhausted. That's why even when nothing is technically wrong, you still feel like you're on edge. You still feel like you almost can snap and you don't even know why. Your nervous system never really gets that signal that you're safe. You're just like walking on eggshells on edge all the time. And that's what's keeping you so exhausted because you're literally running your car constantly. So, with that being said, what does healing look like for the people like us, right? It doesn't start with us doing more. It starts with letting yourself be a human being. It starts with noticing when you're running on pressure instead of peace. It's learning to say, I don't have to earn my rest. I don't have to prove my worth by being exhausted to anybody. I don't have to exhaust myself through the entire day to make it look like I worked, because you can work just as hard and not be as exhausted. Even small things help, okay? Like slow your breathing. A lot of people don't understand the importance of breathing and really just connecting with your body like that. Put your phone down at night. Don't catch yourself dead scrolling before you go to sleep. Let yourself not be productive for a few minutes without that guilt that comes with it. These moments that I'm talking about, tell your body it's okay. You don't have to be on right now. At some point, you have to turn your body off and rest. Otherwise, it's eventually going to do it on its own. And listen, if you're the strong one in your life, the reliable one, the one that everybody goes to, the one people lean on, I want you to listen to this. Just because you're capable doesn't mean you're okay. You don't have to fall apart to deserve support. You don't have to wait until you crack before you need and look for help. You don't have to wait until you're burnt out to take care of yourself. You're allowed to just pump the brakes a little bit before your body forces you to, because it will. It really will. I ended up in the emergency room because I didn't let off the gas. It will definitely happen. I want you to ask yourself this: when am I performing instead of feeling? Where am I pushing when I really need to pause? Because that version of you that's tired, overwhelmed, and still showing up, that version deserves to rest. Not later, not someday, now. I wanted to stay with this idea of this high function anxiety because the more I talk to people, the more I realize how many of us are living in it without even knowing what it's called or what's happening. We just think it's our personality, like we want to just go. We think I'm just driven, or I just care a lot, or I just don't like to drop the ball. I mean, that sounds like my inner me. But really, what's happening underneath all of that is your nervous system that doesn't feel safe slowing down. That high function anxiety isn't about falling apart. It's about holding it together so tightly that you don't know how to relax anymore. I think I've heard a few times when people are talking about kind of sitting there and doing nothing, that they actually don't know what this is because they've never really done it. They don't know what that feeling is, and that's sad. That they don't know when to just sit and be calm. You're productive, you're reliable, you're thoughtful, you're prepared. But a lot of times you're constantly scanning trying to be one step ahead of everything. You're running scenarios through your head. It's almost like a tree. Like, if I do this, what's going to happen if I do this? A, B, C. You're replaying conversations. You're planning for every outcome. And again, remember, I don't use this word, but that doesn't mean you're broken. That's just because your brain learned early on that being alert is keeping you safe. There's actually a lot of research showing that anxiety is connected to that overactive stress response. Well, because you still show up and get things done, nobody worries about you. People see your output, what you're doing. You're always on the go. People are like, oh, you can handle this. You're a go-getter. But they don't see your inner experience, that you can feel lonely because you're surrounded by people, but nobody really sees how hard it is for you to just exist sometimes and not run all over the place and just be present. One of the biggest signs of this high functioning anxiety is that rest feels uncomfortable, not relaxing, but really, really uncomfortable. When you stop, your mind gets louder. You start thinking about what you should be doing instead. Sometimes people feel guilty. That guilt kicks in. Why are you sitting still? You should be doing this. You should be checking your phone. You start looking for something to fix. It's not because you don't know how to rest, it's because your nervous system doesn't trust rest yet. This kind of all goes back to a lot of these people that with high function anxiety grew up in environments where they had to be the good one, the responsible one, the strong one. You learn that your value came from being useful, from performing, from keeping it together. Now, as an adult, slowing down feels like letting people down. You still want to find that narrative to perform, to keep showing up, to be strong for other people. But the truth is, your worth was never meant to be measured by how much you can actually handle. Let me talk about control for a second, okay? Because anxiety loves control. They are best buddies. Control feels like safety. If you plan enough, prepare enough, you think enough, you work enough, maybe nothing bad will happen. But I'm going to tell you the cold, hard truth. Life doesn't work that way. I'm sure most of you know that already. I don't have to tell you that. Life still throws you curveballs. When it does, people with high function anxiety tend to blame themselves even more. I should have seen this coming. I should have handled this better. I should be stronger than this. This isn't me. That's your inner critic just getting super loud in your head. Your healing doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop carrying everything alone. It means learning how to give your body a break, not just your schedule. It means practicing being present instead of productive all the time. And yes, that might feel awkward at first. I know that if you are used to running around and doing all these things, it is going to feel weird. Feels like you're doing something wrong when you're actually doing something healthy. There are a few things backed by research that help calm an anxious nervous system. One of the things I brought up earlier is slow breathing can tell your brain you're safe. Putting your feet on the floor and noticing where you are grounds you in the present. What I like to do is take my socks off if you have carpet and kind of just grind your feet and your toes into the carpet. Limiting that constant stimulation, like scrolling through your phone at night, helps your brain power down. And actually talking to someone who actually sees you for you and not just what you do helps more than most people can actually realize. And I want to say this clearly. Having high functioning anxiety does not mean you're weak. It usually means you're resilient, aware, and just caring deeply. But it also means you've probably been strong for too long without enough support, or the right support for that matter. So if you're listening to this podcast and you're listening to me and thinking, this is me, here's your permission slip. Okay. You don't have to earn rest by burning out first. Don't do what I did. Don't push yourself to the max before your body just completely shuts down and then you're in the ER at 2 o'clock in the morning. You don't have to wait until you're exhausted to take care of yourself. That's not how it works. You're allowed to slow down while things are still working. You don't have to fall apart to deserve that gentleness. And on the MERK method, that's the work. Not becoming tougher, but becoming more honest, more grounded with yourself, and more human with yourself. You're not lazy. You're not broken. You're just tired of carrying everything alone. And it's okay to put some of it down. Okay, I'm going to try something before we wrap up, okay? I want to give you a moment to come back into your body. You don't need to fix anything right now. You don't have to perform. You don't need to be anywhere else. Just be here with me for a minute. Wherever you are, let your body settle into the surface you're on. Feel the chair. Feel the couch. Feel the floor under your feet. If you're driving, just soften your grip on the wheel and take a slow breath with me. Inhale through your nose, slow and steady. Hold it for a second. And now exhale through your mouth, like you're letting something heavy go. Good. Let's do that again. Inhale. Feel your chest rise. Hold. And exhale. Let your shoulders drop. Now just notice your body. Not to judge it, just to feel it. Notice when you're holding tension, your jaw, your neck, your stomach, your hands, and without forcing anything, just invite a little softness into those places. You don't have to carry everything right now. As you breathe, I want you to say this quietly in your mind. I am safe in this moment. I don't have to be on right now. I am allowed to rest. Let the next breath come naturally, and let the next one go naturally. You don't have to earn this pause. You don't have to prove anything here. You're allowed to just be. If your mind wanders, that's okay. Just gently bring it back to your breath, back to this moment, back to the part of you that doesn't need to impress anyone. Take one more slow breath in and one slow breath out. And when you're ready, slowly bring your awareness back to where you are. You don't have to rush. You don't have to go back into your day all at once. Just remember, you are enough without doing more. You are worthy without performing. And you don't have to carry everything alone. Hopefully that little breathing in and out for you just to kind of ground yourself helped you in the moment. Hopefully that helps you down the road as well, because it's very important to try to find yourself, right? To ground yourself, to realize that you don't have to do everything right this second and alone. Well, thank you as always for listening to the MERK Method podcast today. I really appreciate all of you, like always. You guys are the reason I do this, and I hope this helps you in some way, even if it's just a little bit, it's still progress. And as I leave you always, I'll leave you with this. Stay grounded. Stay kind to yourself. And remember, strength begins with honesty. Till next time.